February 2024. Finnish Air Force conducted its first Arctic interception exercise as a NATO member. 2 aircraft types participated, F-35A and Gripen E. Mission parameters: scramble from dispersed highway strips in northern Finland. Temperature: -38 degrees Celsius. Intercept simulated Russian bombers. Return to highway base. Refuel. Launch again within 1 hour. F-35. A result: required return to primary airbase for maintenance. Stealth coding issues in extreme cold. Cannot operate from highway strips. Mission incomplete. Gripen E result: completed full exercise from Highway E8. Landed, refueled in 18 minutes using truck-based systems. Launched second sortie. Mission success. Finnish defense officials classified the full report. But the conclusion leaked to defense journalists. In Arctic conditions, operational independence matters more than technological superiority. And here's why that conclusion terrifies Lockheed Martin. It's not about which fighter is more advanced. It's about which fighter your country can actually control when supply chains freeze and American approval isn't guaranteed. Welcome to NATO's Northern Front, where the F-35 versus Gripen debate isn't stealth versus simplicity. It's dependency versus sovereignty. And the engine, who makes it, who maintains it, who controls export licenses, determines which fighter actually defends your airspace when crisis comes. Because in the Arctic, you can't call Washington and ask permission to defend your territory. You either have operational independence or you don't. Why the Northern Front became NATO's flashpoint. Let me show you why Arctic airspace suddenly became Europe's most critical defense zone. 2014. Russia annexes Crimea. Entire European security architecture collapses. Nordic countries reevaluate defense posture. 2022. Russia invades Ukraine. Finland and Sweden abandon decades of neutrality. Apply for NATO membership. 2023. Finland joins NATO. Adds 1,340 kilometers of NATO-Russian border. Doubles NATO's Arctic frontier overnight. 2024. Sweden joins NATO. Completes northern defense arc from Norway to Baltic Sea. The result? NATO's Northern Front transforms from quiet buffer zone into frontline territory. And with it comes brutal operational reality. The shortest air routes between Europe and Russia cross directly over the Arctic Circle. Russian bomber activity in region: 2019, 8 incursions. 2023, 26 incursions. 2024, 41 incursions through November. Every incursion tests NATO response times. Every test reveals capability gaps. And the biggest gap isn't technology. It's operational sovereignty. Can NATO members actually defend their airspace without American permission? That question determines which fighter matters in Arctic warfare. F-35, the stealth paradox. The F-35 Lightning II, 5th generation stealth, sensor fusion, network-centric warfare capability. NATO's primary air superiority platform. Norway operates 37 F-35s. Finland ordered 64. Denmark operates 27. The Netherlands, 52. Collectively, hundreds of F-35s defending northern NATO airspace. The capability is undeniable. F-35's AN/APG-81 AESA radar detects targets 150 plus kilometers away. Stealth coding reduces radar cross-section to tennis ball size. Sensor fusion integrates data from every platform within 800 kilometers. In coordinated NATO operations, F-35s become force multipliers. Every aircraft shares targeting data instantly. Ground units see what pilots see. Naval vessels coordinate with airborne fighters. It's network-centric warfare exactly as designed. But here's the operational reality nobody advertises. That capability requires uninterrupted supply chains, climate-controlled maintenance facilities, and continuous American technical support. F-35's Pratt & Whitney F-135 engine, $20.4 million per unit. Requires specialized maintenance every 25 flight hours. Spare parts controlled by U.S. export licenses. Technology transfer forbidden. Operational availability. U.S. Air Force reports 55% mission-capable rate in Arctic operations. That means F-35s are grounded 45% of the time due to maintenance. parts delays, or environmental limitations. Norwegian experience proves this. According to Norwegian Defense Ministry reports, F-35s based at Ørland Air Station require heated hangars year-round. Stealth coating degrades in extreme cold. Maintenance hours exceed projections by 30%. By the way, if you're learning why operational sovereignty matters as much as stealth capability, support the channel. Like and subscribe. Gripen, the independence strategy. Sweden's JAS-39 Gripen E 4th Generation Plus. No stealth coating, but designed from the beginning for one specific requirement: operational independence in Arctic warfare against Russia. Why does Sweden prioritize independence? Because Sweden assumed in any conflict with Russia, all major air bases would be destroyed in the opening hours. Gripen needed to operate from dispersed locations without relying on perfect infrastructure or foreign support. The result: Gripen can land, refuel, rearm, and launch from 800-meter highway strips using 6-person crew and truck-based equipment. No climate-controlled hangars, no specialized facilities, just portable equipment and trained personnel. Operating temperature: certified to minus 52 degrees Celsius. Swedish Air Force routinely operates in northern Sweden at those temperatures. Engine: General Electric F414. $6 million per unit. Maintenance every 40 flight hours. Standardized parts. Multiple supplier options. Technology transfer allowed. But here's where the independence strategy becomes critical. GEF 414. Maintenance and overhaul can be conducted domestically. Sweden, Finland, and other operators don't need American approval for engine work. They don't wait for export licenses. They maintain operational capability independently. Czech Republic's independent evaluation reported Gripen operational availability, 92% in Arctic exercises. That's not slight advantage. That's decisive operational superiority when supply chains are contested. The engine independence question. Now we reach the core issue. Engine control determines operational sovereignty. F-35s. Pratt & Whitney F-135 is American-controlled. Every spare part requires U.S. export license. Every major maintenance event requires American technical support. Every upgrade requires Pentagon approval. In peacetime, this creates delays. In wartime, this creates dependence. 2023 incident proves this. Turkey, a NATO member and F-35 partner nation, was removed from the F-35 program after purchasing Russian S-400 air defense systems. Turkish industry had manufactured 937 F-35 components. Turkish pilots had trained on F-35s. None of it mattered. American control meant Turkish participation ended instantly. What happens if similar political disputes arise with other NATO members? What happens if supply chains are disrupted? What happens if American priorities shift? Nations operating F-35s cannot answer those questions independently. They rely on American decisions. Gripen's GEF 414, while American designed, operates under different constraints. Technology transfer is permitted. Domestic maintenance is authorized. Alternative supplier networks exist. And critically, Sweden and Saab maintain alternative engine partnerships. This is where Rolls-Royce enters the discussion, not as Gripen's current engine provider, but as a strategic alternative being actively discussed for future variants and partnerships. But since Finland's NATO accession in 2023, operational reality has complicated that calculation. Finnish defense officials privately acknowledge that F-35 maintenance dependencies create strategic vulnerabilities that weren't fully evaluated during procurement. Finland now shares 1,340-kilometer border with Russia. Arctic airspace defense isn't theoretical. It's daily operational requirement, and dependency on American supply chains for every maintenance event creates risk that peacetime procurement process didn't adequately assess. Swedish defense analysts note the contrast. Sweden's Gripen fleet provides operational independence that Finland's F-35s cannot match. In crisis, where American priorities diverge from Nordic interests, Sweden maintains air sovereignty independently. Finland waits for American approval. This creates uncomfortable question for NATO's northern front. Did Finland choose the right fighter for peacetime capability, but wrong fighter for wartime sovereignty? The answer creates European anxiety, about F-35 dependency. This is why engine independence discussions involving Rolls-Royce matter strategically. They represent European exploration of alternatives that maintain capability while eliminating American veto power. Which fighter actually rules Arctic skies? So here's the answer. In NATO's Northern Front, which fighter wins? F-35 or Gripen? In technological capability, F-35 wins decisively. Superior stealth, sensors, and network integration. In operational sovereignty, Gripen wins decisively. Independent maintenance, alternative suppliers, European control. But here's the critical question. Which advantage matters more in Arctic warfare? If the scenario is coordinated NATO operation, with full American support and uninterrupted supply chains, F-35's capabilities are unmatched. If the scenario is contested supply chains, political complications, or rapid response requirements without time for American export license approvals, Gripen's independence is decisive. Finland discovered this tension, chose F-35 for capability, now confronts dependency reality. Sweden maintains Gripen for sovereignty, accepts capability limitations, retains operational control. The engine discussion, whether GEF 414 or potential Rolls-Royce alternatives, becomes proxy for larger question. Do European NATO members want capability with American control, or sufficiency with European sovereignty? The future of Northern air dominance. As NATO's Northern Front evolves, the fighter debate will intensify. Russia continues Arctic militarization. Chinese interest in Arctic shipping routes increases. Climate change opens new navigation and resource extraction possibilities. NATO's response requires aircraft that operate continuously in Arctic conditions without dependency on supply chains vulnerable to disruption. F-35 represents one approach: technological superiority through American control. Accept dependency for capability. Gripen represents alternative, operational sufficiency through European independence. Accept capability limits for sovereignty. The Rolls-Royce discussion represents third way being explored. European engine alternatives that eliminate dependency while maintaining capability. Which path NATO's northern members choose will determine not just which fighters patrol Arctic skies, but who actually controls those fighters when crisis comes. The answer matters, because in Arctic warfare, calling Washington for permission means arriving too late. Hit that like button and subscribe for updates on NATO's Northern Front, because the fighter debate is really the sovereignty debate, and Europe is just beginning to ask the uncomfortable questions about American control that should have been asked years ago. Gripen versus F-35. Capability versus independence. American control versus European sovereignty. The Arctic skies will reveal which matters more.